The two major players in World War III are the United States and Russia. And right now, they're fighting a proxy war in the Middle East between Israel and Iran, where the United States obviously supports Israel, Russia supports Iran. And what's going to happen is that this war in the Middle East is going to spread out and it will engulf the entire world. Okay? So what I want to do today is look at the individual players, USA, Israel, Iran, and Russia, and explain to you who they are and how they will play this game. And once we understand their strategy, then it's going to be pretty easy for us to make certain predictions about how they will behave. So that's the first thing that I want to point out. The other thing that I'll point out is that there's a lot of people who believe that peace can be achieved, that this war is a temporary thing, and that once Donald Trump leaves office, once the United States divorces Israel, then peace will come to the world. And that's not true. Because on one hand, what's driving this World War III is a conflict between these four nations. But on the other hand, the other force that's driving this conflict is the internal tensions within these countries. So before, we looked at the idea of elite overproduction. And so the idea is that the elite are parasites that collect rent from the people. And so whoever who's in the elite can exploit other people. So there's competition to join the elite. And when you have too many people who are trying to join the elite, this creates internal conflict. And this is what's happening throughout the world today. So World War III, it's not just being driven by the disparities between these four nations. It's really being driven by internal politics within these countries. Okay? So let me put this in a very simple way. Right now, the people who run the world are transnational capital. Okay? And a very simple way of saying this is that if you're a rich person in Russia, you're incentivized to work with rich people in Iran, Israel, and the United States. And as a result, for the longest time, we've been able to achieve global peace and prosperity. But because they only get richer and richer, more powerful, this causes resentment among other elite forces in these countries. And so there are three major forces that oppose transnational capital within these four countries, okay? So let's just list them. The first is, of course, nationalism. Right? There are people like Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin who believe that it's important to put their nation first, that globalism is hurting their own people and their own nation. Okay, that's one force that opposes transnational capital. The other force that opposes transnational capital is religion or orthodoxy. Okay? Why? Because capital believes that money is God. It is godless. It is secular. And it tries to create a multicultural, secular society in order to allow capital to pass through the society easily, okay? That also allows capital to control and dominate society. So religion is opposed to transnational capital as well. Now the last force that's opposed to transnational capital is artificial intelligence, okay? AI. Why? Because right now, money is what structured society. And artificial intelligence wants to replace money as the force that structures and centers society. Okay? So in other words, what's happening is that there's a civil war going on in the world where right now transnational capital is dominant, and transnational capital is represented by Wall Street and City of London. And there are these three forces, nationalism, religion, and technology, that oppose transnational capital. And so what's going to happen over time is that they will form an alliance to defeat transnational capital, okay? And so this is already happening in America, where these three forces come together and they support Donald Trump. And so what drives a lot of Donald Trump's policies is to help his alliance ultimately defeat transnational capital, okay? That's something that we'll discuss for the rest of the semester. So another thing that I'll point out is this. Okay, internally, there is a civil war going on, but externally as well, there are forces that drive these nations to war. And this is basically environmental collapse. So for the past few decades, we humans have been very lucky in that there have been no major ecological disasters. But if you look at human history, weather patterns fluctuate, okay? So many speculate that we are heading towards a time of extreme weather patterns. That means that it becomes harder to grow food. It means it's harder to access energy. And so this is going to put strain on the world. And so the world needs to compete for precious resources. And quite honestly, we are going to probably approach a time in human history when famine, it will be much more common. We thought that we defeated famine. We thought that we had developed a system that could feed anyone and everyone. But over the next few years, we'll discover an increase in famine around the world and an increase in ecological disasters around the world, okay? So this is the schematic that I want you to understand. In World War III, there will be four major players: the United States, Israel, Iran, and Russia. And they are competing for global dominance. No one will win, but the conflict among these four nations will drive geopolitics for the next 5 to 10 years. This conflict is driven not just by disputes among these countries, it's mainly driven by internal civil discord within these countries. The two forces are the transnational capital versus a coalition of nationalists, religious people, as well as tech people, okay? And they have their champions. So in America, they have Trump. Transnational capital is represented by Carney, Mark Carney. We'll talk more about him later, okay? Mark Carney is currently the Prime Minister of Canada. Okay, so they have their different champions, and they're gonna fight this war. Now, one question that you're gonna have, which is the most obvious question, is, yeah, but what about everyone else, right? What about China? What about India? What about Brazil? What about South Africa? Okay? And yes, it is true. Oh, sorry. And what about Europe? And Japan, right? And then South Korea. And while it is true that these are major economies with a lot of people, and it is true that they could, in theory, have great militaries, I will show you that what makes these four nations distinct, USA, Israel, Iran, and Russia, what makes them distinct is that they have a grand strategy that allows them to mobilize their population for total war. And that's what makes them distinct, okay? And I'll show you this later on, all right? All right, so let me explain to you how this dynamic will play out. Okay, so you have US, Russia, Iran, Israel. Okay? So the major players that will determine how these four play the games are, of course, Europe, China, Japan, India. Okay. All right. So I understand that a lot of people believe that China and the United States are in competition with each other. That is not true. And the reason why is that China does not have what we call a grand strategy. A grand strategy is just how you perceive geopolitics and how you want to.
All right, guys, we're gonna get this thing started here. Let's take a look at what's happening here. I was just listening to we have NFP tomorrow, obviously. I really don't see any crazy news today. Let's take a look at this here. I don't like this price action. I'd like to see a fast rejection here. It makes me believe that price is going to come lower here. Then we would move higher. Yeah, I'm bearish on it. I'm bearish on Dixie, bullish on markets today. Yeah, I see this being bearish here. What does that mean? This thing is gonna buy up. It's gonna extend until the 7,448 area here. The best pullback came at 6 a.m. Eastern time. It's still too high for me. I'd rather get a pullback and then do something here, but personally, this is what I would look at. I would get out of anything from NFP. Talking the safest bet. This right here is not the safest bet. This is like more of a this specific zone here. Because this is doing a break of the Asian range. You see that? Indecisional candle, full extension. That extension is at least going to go to what, this zone here. It'll target 1.414 right under the 1.62. realistically, that's what you would look for a 1 in 4 minimum. Terrible RR. To be honest, I don't like it. I would wait for price to hit the third deviation here of the VWAP, hit this zone, and then extend. Then we have some sort of pullback that we could work with. I think NFP would probably lead us there. We can extend this here to the end. See that? This give me a close idea of where to buy. Yeah, this is the safest bet, guys. I think we're gonna have a blow off top and a nasty pullback here. This will be a 1 in 8. This is here, not a pullback, not a pullback. A lot of times people confuse profit taking with pullbacks. This right here is the institution's taking profit. It's not a pullback. There hasn't been a sell-off that's happened yet. So before we do anything, we need at least a solid what? We need a solid pullback here. I'm not gonna tell you guys to buy at the absolute tippity top. That's like the dumbest thing I could tell y'all to do. Right? Send this one. This is what I'm looking at. Yeah, a lot of this too, if you look at it, SPX has the average daily range here. It's really not necessarily too high. It's been small flows to the upside here. You could scalp this here. It's just not my play. What do I mean by that? I mean, we can go on the lower time frame here and really scalp it. Like we could do that. But the movement is small, right? This is kind of where you lose money. There's no massive sell-off yet, then there's no move. Even with spread getting here, it's like a 62-point move. It's not even that high. Not worth it. Usually markets the day before NFP are very, very slow. This is the day before NFP. Tomorrow is gonna be insane. You wanna be careful tomorrow. Tomorrow is very, I would say, crucial because it's going to give us an insight of the whole month. This could be the top, guys. And what I mean by the top is the top before the correction. This could very well be the top based off the NFP report tomorrow. You see how the impulse moves start to get larger, no, shorter, and the pullbacks start to get longer. Volume is dying right now. It looks like volume is going to get ready to shift here, as bearish volume is starting to accumulate to the upside, at least with US 30 NOS. A major reversal is going to happen here soon. ES futures, same concept here. This thing just broke that fib level extension zone. This thing is gonna hyperextend. To 2.618 before the major pullback. Same concept here that I would see. Profit taking, but no pullback. Profit taking, profit taking, profit taking, no pullback. Wait for the pullback, guys. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it. Okay? You don't ever want to just buy into something that's just constantly moving to the upside here. This is the pullback, mitigation, re-entry. It's slowing down. Just have a prediction that NFP tomorrow will be like more volatile. Look at this 10-year yield. 10-year yield finally coming down to that mitigation zone that I've been talking about. Still has a gap that in price discrepancy it needs to fill, which is interesting. Crude oil making that low like we talked about. Literally. Thought it would move a little higher. Let's see what the news is in Iran right now.
My hope for America?
And how do
the
you
same as always
personally
been.
deal with that?
Yeah, look, I mean, my hope for America is what it's always been. I think it's the hope I hope we all share. We want it to continue to be the place where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. Where you're not limited by the circumstances of your birth, by the color of your skin, by your ethnicity, but frankly, it's a
for what you'll buy it for and vice versa. It's transparent by its nature. It's self-correcting. That's the basis of our economic system, capitalism, free market capitalism. It always finds the right level, the rational level, because it's based on the free exchange of money for assets. But that's not what we're seeing now. Not at all. Markets are doing things you would not expect markets to do if they were behaving rationally in a free way, if they weren't rigged. You would see, well, certain commodities prices, including oil, go up a lot more than they have. Gold go up a lot more than it has. And yet gold and oil and other commodities have stayed far lower than you would rationally expect them to stay after 60 days of terrible news out of the world's center of global energy production. So the Strait of Hormuz has been closed for months now, in effect. And yet oil, as of airtime tonight, was under $100 a barrel. Much lower than it was in, say, 2008. That is bizarre. But it's more than bizarre. It's fake. It is obvious, it's become too obvious to deny over the past couple of months, that public markets are not what they told us they were, which is to say open and free and equal for everyone to participate in. It's going to take a long time for that understanding to percolate down to the level of retail investors. But the knowledge is there, and you can't kind of deny it, that some people are getting rich from this and most people aren't. And it's not exactly clear the mechanisms by which they are, but it's very obvious that it's happening. We're not accusing Bill Ackman of participating in this. It's not like Bill Ackman would talk down share prices in publicly traded companies to make money. Oh wait, he's done that his whole life. But in this
place where
Yeah, so this just came out. Project Freedom collapsed, but they're saying that there's a gap that needs to get filled here. Next sell-off will be here. Internal sells probably come back here to that buying and selling pressure zone here. Specifically here. This hasn't been mitigated. Previous price here was mitigated. This is mitigated. This hasn't been mitigated yet. Swipe liquidity lows. I think it'll come down. Look for oil to come down to $83 a barrel here. If there is peace negotiations, which I actually hope for. Gold, gold, gold. Looking good. Wow, this is an easy trade. Gold's making its move. Earlier in the day, a lot of its moves are coming at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., which is ironic. I haven't seen that in a long time. Okay. problem is last session here, we had a range of 400 pips, right? 300 to 400 pips. This right here is where you lose money. It's not worth the trading here. The best move would have been around yesterday night, 9 p.m. We had a rally here. This is the problem that I'm seeing here. Is we have a break of the Asian range, but it happened way too early in the morning. Okay. Logically, the only area where I would buy gold would be here. Logically. We need a pullback, guys. I'm not, and this is, again, I'm going to stress this to you guys. I only take high RR trades. I refuse to take a 1-to-1, 1-to-2 just to get into the market and make money. I only take high RR. So if there's no chance of us to make a high risk reward trade, we'll wait until it comes to us, right? That's my philosophy here, because I do not want I do not want people losing long term. I only want people making money long term, right? So this is my thought process here. The next area where price is probably going to reject is going to be, let's get rid of this here. And market range is already at 70%. Yeah, like already hitting the average daily range. We're probably gonna go to this zone is what I was looking at earlier. And the zone above that would be this. Let's look at the fib levels. It's a 4-hour. No, 3-hour internal sell. This is what we would look for. Let's look at the fibs. Yeah, probably a rejection here. We just closed above the 414. If it closes above the 414, it'll go to the 162 and then probably reject. It's trying to catch a runaway train. If the train's already gone, then the train came at, look, you see that? 5 a.m., 6 a.m. To be honest, I wasn't up. I'm gonna have to start waking up earlier here to look at the charts. The break of the Asian range happened at that time. Sometimes we can't control that. But look at the mitigation. Right? Even in that area. From this impulse move. This impulse move was the breakout, right? This right here was the mitigation. Some of you guys might be wondering, well, John, where's the mitigation here? I'll find it, don't worry. See that gap right here? That means price is coming back. Wow, you have mitigations here on the 15-second. There it is. Rare that it's ever that low. Rare that I ever have to get that low, but That's where it worked too. Hyper acceleration. Even this here, it looks like it'll pull down. This is what I'm looking at intraday. I'm looking at the third standard deviation here. Probably some swipes of liquidity and then a run to the upside. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm gonna send this out to you guys. This is what I'm looking at, okay guys? The better trade right now is GU. I've called some buys on GU. Wow. I called this yesterday here, but I didn't call an initial signal. I wanted to wait until potentially today to see if this thing was going to lift off, but it started to lift off tomorrow. Okay, I'm calling a signal now with GU. Wow, this thing is beautiful. Beautiful pullback here at 7 a.m. Fuck. The problem sometimes I get, guys, is like recently, I don't know what it is about the markets, just the best RRs for me have been happening at earlier in the morning. So that's a problem for me because, again, like, I don't like that. 1.27. Mitigated, 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 mitigated. These have all been mitigated. Except here. GU is going to come all the way back up to this zone here for sure. GU is going to be the easiest buy, guys. All you're going to want to focus on all year is buying GU, okay? As Dixie continues to move down, as long as Dixie doesn't move to the upside, we won't get a massive pullback with GU. This is what I see with GU so far. Okay? Wait, I'll keep you guys updated in the chat if I take these. Which ones I'm going to take, but I'm going to set alerts here. Setting alerts there. Setting alerts on gold. And then set alerts on SPX here. Yep, SPX is selling off. All right, guys. If something does pop up for me, I'll let you guys know. I mean, I'm pretty aware of the BTC sells here. BTC sells are like kind of imminent, to be brutally honest. All right, guys, this kind of sums up our session here. We'll obviously keep going here, but BTC, I'm still in sells. I stacked more sells up yesterday Tuesday when I told you guys that this thing was gonna turn around, and I stacked up more sells yesterday. So yeah, I'm still in sells here for BTC. I think I'm calling bullshit on BTC. We'll wait and see for market turnarounds. I'll keep you guys updated if I do get those pullbacks that I'm looking for. But other than that, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all, and I will talk to y'all soon, just like this pullback here. Have a go, guys. Peace.